Show the opposition Democratic Party heading for a landslide victory. With a third of the ballots counted, the Democrats have 69% of the vote. As Bill Hamilton of the BBC reports, the surprise win could spell the end for the former communists who ruled Albania by force until last year.
All night, the streets of Tirana have been echoing to the exuberant strains of Europe's newest Democrats. The country that for nearly half a century isolated itself whilst under the grip of a Stalinist dictatorship is now preparing to move to Western-style democracy. It'll be a difficult transition. Parts of the capital were plunged into darkness yet again overnight. Conducting the election count had to be carried out by candlelight. By early morning, though, the Democrats were already claiming victory.
Thanks to God and to the will of these people, we'll have a better day, we'll have better street, better way, better days for these people and for Albania.
With over half the votes counted, the Democratic Party seems to be heading for a spectacular victory. More than two-thirds of the votes in their favour so far. The last bastion of hardline communism in Eastern Europe has gone. Bill Hamilton, BBC News, Tirana.
High school teachers in Ottawa have gone on strike.
A pass that has left their nation the poorest in Europe. And in France, meanwhile, a rejection as well. Voters there of the capital today celebrating the opposition Democratic Party's landslide victory over the socialists who used to call themselves communists. Computer projections show the Democrats winning at least 62% of yesterday's vote compared to about 25% for the socialists. The outcome of that vote, expected to be confirmed as early as tomorrow, means a hard-fought victory for the Democrats and their leader, Salih Berisha. He told supporters, quote, "We are saying farewell to communism."
Defeat of the ruling Communist Party in yesterday's general elections. Albania's opposition Democrats captured a clear parliamentary majority in the vote, and that brings to an end almost 50 years of communist rule in the country. The BBC's Bill Hamilton has more.
All night, the streets of Tirana had resounded to the exuberant strains of Europe's newest Democrats. And by the early hours, it was clear that a fledgling party, just 15 months old, who had dared to challenge Albania's Stalinist masters, were about to take control. It won't be an enviable job. The country is in chaos. As yet another power cut hit the capital, Tirana, even counting their votes had to be done in candlelight. But today, Albanians were able to forget the pain of everyday life as they took to the streets to celebrate a victory, the size of which promises to surpass even their own expectations. As the old regime consider their future, Europe prepares to welcome another new leader, a 48-year-old heart surgeon.
This day shows that Albania never will reach the 0 point of history. They have had a long night, a deep sleep, but they succeeded.
Nearly 100,000 Albanians filling Tirana's huge Skanderberg Square to denounce communism and herald a new beginning for their country. So today, Albania comes in from the cold. Nearly 50 years of self-enforced isolation at an end, as it signals to the rest of the world that the last bastion of hardline communism in Eastern Europe has finally gone. Bill Hamilton, BBC News, Tirana.
On to that one. Albania was ruled by the Communist Party for more than 45 years. Last year, when they finally permitted multi-party elections, the communists, now calling themselves socialists, held on to a majority in parliament. This time, after a year of economic chaos, the opposition Democratic Party has won by a landslide. Their supporters are celebrating, but the Democrats have an enormous job ahead of them. Albania is Europe's absolutely poorest country. The situation for money is absolutely desperate. Here's ABC's Jim Lawrence.
They have walked for miles with bare feet and tattered clothing from remote villages in Albania's mountains to a lone relief truck delivering food parcels. Albania today is entirely dependent on the kindness of strangers, the generosity of foreign aid.
I'm going to make a confession that this distribution has not been as well organized as it should have been. There are 67 families. There are fewer than 67 boxes in the van.
There is good reason for caution and apologies, for Albania's desperation has led to food riots and the massive theft of foreign assistance.
Oftentimes we've seen situations where they've taken the distribution into their own hands, and they've ransacked trucks, they've ransacked warehouses.
Not even hospitals and homes for the most disadvantaged have escaped the looting. Institutions like this one for the mentally handicapped were once guaranteed food and supplies from the state. No longer. The 57 children here now survive on foreign aid. On this chilly March day, they huddle in one room around the only heat, a single wood stove. A nurse struggles to cover broken windows. They are here all day, every day. No therapy, no distractions. One girl's only toy, the shell of a bullet. Their daily diet, egg and rice gruel. This day, an added donation provides some meat. Mara and Bene, now 17, have been here since they were 3. We would like, Bene tells us, a TV, some toys, and some books. Foreign aid workers brought some last year, they say, but they have all now been stolen. The staff confirms that within hours of aid deliveries, everything was carted away by local gangs, even their winter clothing. The clothes worn now were given by a Catholic group with the advice, don't take them off. Much of the aid winds up on this black market about 3 blocks away. Now that the once all-powerful secret police has been dismantled, law and order have collapsed. There are similar problems several hours away at a hospital now specializing in malnutrition cases. Infant mortality here has soared to 25% of live births. Who would steal from the mouths of children, the nurses ask, as they show us how thieves lowered grappling hooks through the storeroom ceiling to steal baby food and medical supplies. No one has any satisfactory answers.
They that stole for their psychology, because we have a psychosis now, because we think that we have no future, nobody cares about us and so on.
The only hope expressed here is that the democratic elections will produce a strong, stable government to restore law and order, and to ensure that the international assistance on which these children and this nation depend is not squandered. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Shkodra, Albania.
We'll be back in a moment.
5 members of Omonia had been voted to the previous 250-seat Albanian National Parliament, which had resulted from last year's general elections. Sali Berisha, whose Democratic Party won an overwhelming victory, promised better days for the Greek minority in Albania, estimated at 300,000 to 400,000 by Greece and only 60,000 by Albania. At his post-election news conference, Berisha assured ethnic Greeks that the new government will respect the minority's human rights. But in the same breath, he asked that an alleged Albanian minority, which supposedly was kicked out of Greece in the past, be allowed to return to Greece. Greece rejects any notion of ever having any such Albanian minority. Berisha's claim opens a new Pandora's box. From Antenna TV in Athens, Greece, this is Tom Alexopoulos for the CNN World Report.